mean,
all right, here we are at Piccolo Spoleto again with our two favorite film studies, Kevin LaPrince and Scott Henderson. We might have to rerun the video from last year where Kevin, being bored here at the show, actually offered Scott Henderson $100 if he would jump into the fountain. And folks, he didn't. I am going to rerun that video and you can look at this, but we have a new bet coming on this year. And would you gentlemen like to just give us the bare bones of what we're going to do this year?
We're about halfway through a 30-minute window.
Actually, we're going to pause that window right now because this is eating my time up.
I don't know that we can.
Oh, yeah. So let me tell you what we do here. So people keep asking me how I get these fantastic images here, and the answer is I just pop them in Photoshop and I press the Scott Henderson button, and this is what comes out. And Kevin has bet me for the next 30 minutes that anytime I say that to
25 cents for each person he tells it to for the next 30-minute or the 30-minute window that we're in the middle of.
Okay, so we're gonna wait for this group to come in. We're gonna wait for this group to come in and ask Mr. Henderson here, the photographer, who is doing all this very creative photography work, how he gets
let me tell you about the
this
process here.
effect.
Come on in, let me tell you about the process. So with this, basically what I do is I just pop it into Photoshop and I press the Scott Henderson button in Photoshop, and this is what comes out. Yeah, it's a creative process. These are stars. Star trails all night long, but the magic actually was the Scott Henderson button in Photoshop.
Did you get what you needed?
Maybe don't try to throw my money away. This is
Let me tell you about what I do here.
Please, explain this process.
So this process is happens to be a star trail image, but the key is I pop it into Photoshop and I press the Scott Henderson button, and this is what comes out. It's true. It's a fact. You can actually ask my neighbor right there. His name's Kevin. He'll tell you all about it too.
What version of Photoshop are you using?
Well, it's the newest version, the CS version.
Okay, I think mine's a
Yeah, it's a new button. It's Adobe spent a lot of time and effort to create the Scott Henderson button in Photoshop.
What's your inspiration behind these?
It's a light study. So I'm interested in figuring out and showing what the stars do through the night. So this is looking at the polar axis right here, and this is actually Earth spinning around on the northern axis. So this is what the stars are doing every single night. If we were actually able to watch them throughout the night, this is what you'd see.
So where a lot of people do that with the moon, you don't know stars.
Yep.
Very cool.
Folks, we have been in here 1 minute and he's already made 50 cents.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Can I tell you about this?
Yeah.
So this is the key thing here is I just pop this in Photoshop and I press the Scott Henderson button, and this is what comes out. It's a fantastic process. It's a creative process. It's one that not every version of Photoshop has it, but it is does some fantastic things.
I don't really worry about it. So how do you do that?
This is a star trail image that I've set up the camera all night long and on a time-lapse exposure. It's about every 30 seconds I'm capturing a single image, and so over the course of the night there's 650 images in here, and I'm joining them in layers and then statistically mapping every single pixel for the brightest value. That's how I get these star trails. Yep. Yeah. And so this is looking at the northern polar axis and our movement around that polar axis.
Right. Right.
And then the Scott Henderson button in Photoshop.
That's right. So that you can get this on.
That's it. That's right. That's right. How are y'all?
That's interesting.
So This was a special piece that I created in Photoshop. I just popped it into Photoshop and I pressed the Scott Henderson button. And this is what, and that's what comes out. That one is 55.
We're up to $2 now.
And that's how it's done.
Thank you, Scott.